Sudan's prime minister has been arrested and taken to an unknown location in what civilian leaders have described as a military coup in the African nation. Prime Minister Abdalla Hamdok was one of several political and government leaders arrested by armed men who barged into homes early Monday, the country's information ministry said. Hamdok was ordered to support the coup by armed men and then arrested when he refused, the ministry added. The 65-year-old former UN diplomat, who survived a failed coup just last month and an assassination attempt in 2020, was leading Sudan's transition from decades of autocratic and military rule towards democracy following a revolution in 2019. Trade unions which were central to that revolution denounced Hamdok's arrest and urged people onto the streets for fresh protests. Crowds were subsequently pictured in the capital Khartoum burning tires while demanding the release of the prisoners. That revolution overthrew decades of rule by Omar al-Bashir, a former military general, and then a military council tasked with reforming the country. Revolutionaries then handed power to a transitional council run by both military and civilian leaders tasked with rewriting the constitution and then holding elections, due for November 2022. Tensions between civilian and military leaders have been evident since the start of the transition, but have reached a head in recent months as deadlines for the handover of key powers from the army to civilians loomed. Just last month, the government said it had thwarted a coup attempt by soldiers loyal to al-Bashir which had targeted Hamdok. Hamdok subsequently gave a speech calling the coup attempt the worst and most dangerous crisis that not only threatens the democratic transition, but threatens our whole country. His arrest comes just 2 days after a Sudan faction calling for a transfer of power to civilian rule warned of a creeping coup, during a press conference that an unidentified mob attack had sought to prevent. The U.S. is deeply alarmed at reports of a military takeover of the transitional government, said U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, Jeffrey Feltman. This would contravene the constitutional declaration, which outlines the transition and the democratic aspirations of the Sudanese people, he said, according to a statement on Twitter. Tensions within the transitional government have also been exacerbated by a split within the civilian faction of the government that has seen it split into 2 blocs. The crisis at hand is engineered, and is in the shape of a creeping coup, mainstream FFC leader Yasser Arman told the Saturday press conference in Khartoum. We renew our confidence in the government, Prime Minister Abdalla Hamdok, and reforming transitional institutions, but without dictations or imposition, Arman added. Tensions between the two sides have long simmered, but divisions ratcheted up after a failed coup on September 21 this year. Last week tens of thousands of Sudanese marched in several cities to back the full transfer of power to civilians, and to counter a rival days-long sit-in outside the presidential palace in the capital Khartoum demanding a return to military rule. Hamdok has previously described the splits in the transitional government as the worst and most dangerous crisis facing the transition. On Saturday, Hamdok denied rumors he had agreed to a cabinet reshuffle, calling them not accurate. The premier also emphasized that he does not monopolize the right to decide the fate of transitional institutions. Also on Saturday, U.S. Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa Jeffrey Feltman met jointly with Hamdok, the chairman of Sudan's ruling body General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and paramilitary commander Mohamed Hamdan Daglo. Feltman emphasized U.S. support for a civilian democratic transition in accordance with the expressed wishes of Sudan's people, the U.S. Embassy in Khartoum said. Analysts have said the recent mass protests showed strong support for a civilian-led democracy, but warned street demonstrations may have little impact on the powerful factions pushing a return to military rule.